I pulled over a famous influencer for speeding, but he turned his millions of followers against me, doctored videos to ruin my life, and even sent people after my family until one insider finally risked everything to expose him. I used to think I could keep my head down and let the noise pass. That's what they tell you in the academy: be boring off duty, be polite on duty, and let the internet argue without you. Turns out, if the internet wants to eat you, being boring just makes you look like bread. I'm Aaron. 27. Patrol out of Pacific Ridge, a seaside city that thinks it's a small town and a small town that acts like a city. On a Tuesday that smelled like hot asphalt and ocean, I stopped a matte black coupe doing 62 and a 35 on the hill down to the pier. It was textbook: lights, mirror, brief siren, the car easing over with that little swagger that says the driver thinks laws or Yelp reviews. Before I even reached the rear bumper, the driver's phone was up, front camera on, blue light in his eyes like he'd found religion. He flashed a grin I recognized without wanting to: Riker Vale. 8 million followers. Pranks. Giveaways. Social experiments that were just bullying in a hoodie. A face you see on gas station screens when you're trying not to hate culture. He panned the phone toward me. "What's up, Vale Squad," he said. "We're getting harassed by the cops for literally existing." "Good afternoon," I said, power walking through the part of my brain that wanted to groan. "License, registration, insurance." He tilted the phone like he was choosing my worst angle. "Can you tell us why you're violating my civil rights today?" "Speeding," I said. 62 and a 35. "License, registration, insurance." He squinted at my name tag. "Officer A. Hale," he read loudly. "Aaron. Cute. Is this about your quota? Have you considered therapy? I've done 7 traffic deaths. I've held a father on the curb while we waited for a sheet. I've watched a kid's bike glow in flare light. I do have a quota. It's called not letting people die in the stupidest way possible." I took all of that and packed it behind my molars. "License," I said again. He handed it over eventually, still streaming. His chat bubbled with abuse I pretended not to see. I ran him: license valid, insurance flashy, 2 priors for disturbing the peace that were really performing a brand deal with a megaphone outside a hospital at 2 a.m. I wrote the citation, explained the court date, and started my spiel about signing not being admission of guilt. He pivoted the camera. "This is Officer Aaron Hairline Hale," he told the world. "He says I was speeding. I say he hates successful people. Sign here," I said. He scrawled Riker V with a heart over the Y, laughed, and said into the mic, "Drop a skull emoji if you want me to take this man's pension." I walked back to my cruiser, put the citation into evidence scan, and told myself that the internet can't hurt you if you don't give it a chair. I believed that for 6 hours. By dinner, my sister Mariah sent me a link with the skull emoji and the text, "Please tell me this isn't you." The clip had 2 million views. Riker had edited it like a trailer, me at the window, his voiceover saying random stop, a cut to my hand near my holster as if that were aggression and not muscle memory, captions that said cops hate US and racial profiling. Even though we're the same race, and he'd called me bro 3 times like a coupon. By bedtime, my full name was trending locally and my DMs were a grill fire. Pig. Power trip poodle. One person sent a gif of bacon frying, another sent my parents' address, which you can find if you know where to look, and a surprising number of people do. I turned off everything and lay on my apartment floor like the carpet could hold me to the planet. I went to work the next morning like you do, coffee in a thermos that leaks a little, reports in the in tray, partner jokes that move air without moving pain. Cruz looked at me over the roof of the cruiser. "Welcome to being main character." "I'd like to return it," I said. We rolled. The first call was a noise complaint that turned out to be a birthday party where the DJ had plugged into the wrong outlet and was drawing power from a deli slicer. The second was a welfare check. In between, Riker uploaded a story time where he cried on cue, no tears, just shiny eyes, and said I'd asked him if he felt lucky and then fingered my taser. I had not. My taser was in its holster minding its own electricity. He posted a screen recording of my public payroll. He posted my precinct address with a map pin and the caption, "Say hi." They said hi. Protesters showed up by 3, half teenagers in matching merch, half older guys with camera rigs and red faces. They held signs that said "Defund Hale and Fame ISNT a crime." One kid yelled a cop. Like he was trying out a swear he'd learned on vacation. The lieutenant told me to go home before my face turned the crowd into a plot. I walked out the side door with my hat low. Someone recognized me anyway and threw a milkshake, melted, warm, banana. It hit my shoulder and slid down like a joke that isn't funny. At home, my phone pulsed like a toothache. Cruz texted updates, our comms team asking Riker to remove the precinct address. He declined respectfully, the chief doing a soft press statement about misinfo that read like apologizing to a mob for existing. Riker's followers camping outside the station to do dances with captions like free speech. By Friday, the edits got meaner. Riker uploaded bodycam footage of me supposedly saying, "We like to keep guys like you in line." It wasn't mine. The angle was wrong, the audio too clean, my voice a different register. People don't care about registers. They care about color grading and captions and the warm bath of a narrative that says every story already has a villain and he looks like a cop you don't know. Internal Affairs called. They have a voice they use when they promise to be fair. Administrative leave pending review, they said. Badge and gun on the desk. I did the thing where you try to put them down gently so it doesn't feel like a loss. A protester outside filmed me through the glass and posted, "They took his toys." Riker stitched it with a clip of himself sipping green juice and said, "You can't stop the vibe." My sister started getting calls at the school where she teaches. My mother got Facebook messages from women with profile pictures of sunsets. Maybe he shouldn't have harassed that boy. My father, who's been a mechanic for 30 years and believes in torque specifications like scripture, put a cot in the shop and slept there 3 nights because he didn't want me to worry about him at the house that now had strangers idling by to take selfies with our mailbox. I filed police reports like postcards. I started carrying a body-worn camera off-duty, which is legal in our state, because I wanted my own receipts. I stopped going to the grocery store. I used delivery and tipped like guilt. The first time I stepped out for a run, 3 kids in matching merch chased me down the boardwalk with a phone yelling, "Why are you scared, officer?" As if 9 million eyeballs weren't a weight you could feel. The break, if you can call it that, came from a DM I almost didn't open. It was from a burner account with 3 followers and a default avatar. "We need to talk." I ignored it. "I'm at Harbor House." "He's not going to stop." I ignored that too until he told us to find your sister's classroom landed with a cold. I wrote back, "Who is this?" and waited. "Tessa," she wrote. "Don't type my last name." He monitors. Tessa lived at Harbor House, a content mansion up on the cliffs where Riker and his influencer friends filmed collabs and threw noise at the sky. "I have proof," she wrote. "He plans things. He makes fakes. He pays guys to escalate. If you bring me protection, I'll give you everything." Then she sent a picture of a group chat, Riker's handle at the top, instructions below. "Find classroom. Film from outside. Make him lose it." A cash emoji. A location pin for my sister's school. We moved faster than guilt. Cruz met me in the lot behind Tessa's DM. I brought the body cam. He brought a recorder and a jacket that concealed nothing but made him feel like a TV detective. Tessa came out the side gate of Harbor House with a duffel and a face like someone who's been brave for too long and is tired. "Phone," she said. "He can track me." We put her in Cruz's car because mine was too recognizable from the videos. She told us the rest on the way to the station. Riker had a Slack channel named Storylines with columns like a whiteboard. Setup, escalate, tear down, pivot. In setup, officer with a face. Charity prank. Haters. In escalate, milkshake at station. Photos of his parents' house. Video of him grabbing me. In tear down, make him apologize on my channel. Brand deal, redemption arc. He called it narrative architecture. He called his fans distribution. He called us props. "Why are you helping me?" I asked. Tessa stared out the window. "Because I don't want to be a villain for rent," she said. We set her up at a safe hotel under a name that matched her face less. The DA's office put a pin in her calendar for a sworn statement. Our text mirrored her phone. My lieutenant looked at the screen in the conference room, the Slack channels, the payout spreadsheets, the calendar events titled Court Day LOL, and said, "Jesus, then we can't get a warrant on vibes, then get me more." Riker upped the ante like he knew we had a plot. He posted a sobbing video, real tears this time, the kind that come from adrenaline and losing control, claiming someone had vandalized his car with the word pig lover. He filmed the scratch. He filmed his hands shaking. He asked his followers to be chill, but do what you gotta do. A guy in a ski mask smashed the windows of my apartment building's lobby that night, on camera, then uploaded it with the caption "Accidents happen." The landlady called me at 1 a.m. to tell me the glass company didn't do overnight. I swept until 2 and slept in a sleeping bag in the hall while someone stood on the sidewalk filming the broken door like it was a tourist attraction. Saturday, it escalated again. My place got hit. Not the hall this time. My door. A pry bar to the jamb, a shoulder, and my living room was an exhibit. They took my TV because it was there, rifled my drawers, tipped my mattress. They took my spare badge, the old one I kept in the safe like an idiot who thought old meant harmless, and left a smear of something on the wall that I recognized in the smell before I registered the shape, green juice. A calling card. I put my back against the hallway and thought about the Academy lecture on target hardening and how none of it prepares you for someone making your socks look like strangers. The responding officer was new. She looked at me like you look at a colleague you've met at a holiday party and now you're seeing his underwear drawer. "We'll dust," she said. "We'll canvas." "I'm sorry." A neighbor's ring caught 2 guys in hoodies walking out with my TV. Riker posted a reaction video to the tragedy at my apartment, eyes wet again, saying violence isn't the vibe, then smiling and saying, "But karma is real," and then I'm praying for everyone involved. He tossed the green juice bottle in a trash can on camera. People in the comments wrote, "He's evolved." Someone else wrote, "He's the moment." I put my hand on the kitchen counter until the world stopped slipping left. Tessa called. "He has your badge," she said. He waved it around at the house and said he was going to make a short film where you assaulted him. I sat down on a chair that suddenly felt performative. "We need to get into the house," I said. "Good," she said. "Because he's throwing a party." We ran it through the right channels. Undercover officer with a body wire, probable cause on the stolen property, Tessa's statement under oath, the DA on text like we're skipping rungs on a ladder and hoping the rungs were landing on hold. My lieutenant picked Juno for the wire. Juno is 5'3", wrists like pencils, eyes like a hawk. She could blend into a content house and slip out with a chandelier. You comfortable with this? The lieutenant asked. Juno shrugged like a cat stretching. He'll never see me, she said. He only looks at himself on reflective surfaces. Harbor House at night is a glow stick attached to a mortgage. Music like a migraine, girls in outfits that look like a mood board titled Apology. Juno went in with Tessa like a friend of a friend with a ring light. Cruz and I sat in a van 2 blocks away with a guy from tech named Laird who lives for audio levels and pretzels. The DA's investigator, Harris, was on a second channel. The plan was simple: eyes on the badge, words to connect it to the burglary, capture, warrant, move. No hero stunts. It took 23 minutes. Juno whispered, "I have eyes on a shadow box," into her throat mic. Laird heaved like it was Christmas and turned a dial. The camera, pinhole in the rim of her stupid party sunglasses, showed Riker's living room, neon signs that said hustle and love your haters, a wall of plaques for plays, a couch covered in blankets that looked like skins from animals invented for this vibe. On the mantle, a frame with something shiny inside. Juno moved like she was checking her hair in the window. The reflection gave us the inside of the frame, badge, my number, the scuff on the right curve where Cruz and I had once dropped it in the parking lot goofing off, and I'd laughed and then felt superstitious all day. Riker came into frame holding 2 green juices like a parody. "We're livin' 10, he said to a kid with a ring light. He practiced expressions in the black TV screen. Angry. Hurt. Forgiving. He liked forgiving most. Juno drifted closer, still fixing her hair. Tessa took her cue. She bumped Riker lightly. "You're crazy for putting that cop's badge up," she said loudly enough to land on the mic, with the sing-song of a girl trying to be cool. "Isn't that, like, illegal?" Riker laughed. "It's a prop," he said. "Props don't have jurisdiction." Tessa tilted her head. "How'd you get it?" He raised one juice like a toast. "Distribution," he said, and smiled at his reflection. "Got it," Laird whispered to the room. Harris texted the DA. The DA texted the judge. The judge texted a head nod via the warrant system with the speed of a world that occasionally works. 5 minutes later, 2 unmarked cars turned onto the street like they were out for a drive. Juno slipped outside to take a call. Tessa followed. Cruz and I got out of the van and pretended not to have adrenaline for legs. The knock was polite. The entry was not. People dropped phones. Someone screamed, "I'm in a towel." In a way no one believed. I stood in the hall with my hands on my belt loops because letting someone else solve it was my new religion. Riker tried to go live. Harris told him to stop. He kept going. Harris took the phone out of his hand like you take a magic marker away from a toddler. They found the shadow box in the living room and 3 other frames in a closet waiting for their moment, a set of police patches that were just ripped uniforms, a city parking sign, and a mailbox door with my parents' address still etched on a paper inside. They found a pry bar with green juice smeared on the handle, fluorescent under luminol like a rave, cash in envelopes with names on them that matched usernames in the Slack, and a whiteboard in the office with my name under villains and 2 other names under next with arrows and dates and a deliverables column. They found a list titled Court Day Shot List that included tearful apology, handshake, and brand partnership announcement. Riker, in cuffs, tried his last content trick. He looked at me with eyes huge and said, "Bro, we can collab on this. Imagine the redemption arc." I looked at his face and saw a boy who learned the crowd before he learned a conscience. "I'm not content," I said. "I'm a person." It sounded cheesy. It felt like medicine. Tessa sat on the curb with a blanket around her shoulders like a prop in a drama and refused to cry. Juno handed her hot tea because Juno is the kind of person who keeps hot tea in a van like she believed this would happen. Harris walked evidence to the trunk with the reverence of a man who has watched cases wobble on chain of custody and fall. News trucks arrived because you can't keep a lid on a house that has taught 1,000 kids where the party is. The chief did a press statement that didn't grovel. The DA used words like conspiracy, tampering, stalking, harassment, and organized criminal activity, quietly, in a tone that suggests they will spend the next 6 months being boring in a way that matters. Riker's manager posted no comment and then were shocked within an hour. Someone set up a GoFundMe for Riker's legal defense against a corrupt system. It raised $500 and then turned into a comment war between 12-year-olds and a retired English teacher who uses footnotes. Internal Affairs cleared me the next week with a memo that said what I knew. The ticket was clean, the video was fake, the badge theft was the only thing in the last month that had felt like a plot twist to them. They gave me back my gun and my badge, the real one, the old one went into evidence. The lieutenant made a joke about try not to trend this week. Cruz took me to a diner and we ate pancakes at a table that had been sticky since 1992. My mother hugged me like I'd come back from a war. My father replaced my deadbolt with one he called Overkill and then kissed his teeth at the clean click like it was a good engine. I thought that would be the end of the story. Reddit wants the end to be a gavel or a hug that means we've learned. Life is lazier and more generous. It keeps giving you Tuesdays. Tessa testified. She moved to a small place inland where her landlord is a woman who says I've seen worse and means you can sleep here. She started a channel where she teaches people how to edit without lying. It doesn't have millions of followers. It has enough. Riker's case ground through hearings like a train through snow. He took a plea on some counts and chose trial on others because fame is an addiction in which even a courtroom feels like content. His followers leaked away like a battery. Some stayed because every story has people who love villains until the credits. Some wrote me apologies in my DMs that read like homework. I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't answer. I pinned one to remind myself that people can be wrong without being rot. The day I went back on duty, my first call was a kid locked in a car with keys on the driver's seat and the sun doing its ruthless work. I broke the window and didn't apologize. The mother cried and then laughed and then cried because the body is a messy file. She asked for a selfie. I said no. She asked again and I said okay because that's how humans are. We want proof of relief. She posted it later with a caption that said, "Officer Hale saved my baby," and 50 comments under it argued about whether I needed to justify property damage or whether Hero is fascist. I turned off my phone and went to the next call. People ask me if I hate the internet now. I don't. The internet is a street. I've patrolled streets for 5 years. Streets can be parades and protests and scams and miracles. Streets are where a kid lost his bike and an old lady lost her breath and a guy lost his temper and I lost my sense of invincibility, which is not a loss I regret. Streets don't hate you. People move on them. Some of those people will love a lie with a caption that fits in their mouth better than a truth with splinters. Some will send a DM from a burner account that says, "He told us to find your sister's classroom," and keep you from choking on your pride. If you want a moral, I don't have a clean one. I have a pile of notes that I write on the inside of my head. Don't be content. Document even when you think you'll look crazy. Let other people be the hero of their own story. You are not redemption on legs. Locks are not paranoia, they are kindness to your nervous system. If you can't sleep, make tea for the next person who will need it. Last week, I drove past Harbor House. The hustle sign was gone. The lawn looked like a haircut grown out. The ocean did its endless thing, chewing horizon, spitting up light. A kid rode by on a bike too big for him and rang his bell at me like we had an inside joke. Someone had stuck a note to the old gate with tape that didn't hold in salt air. It said, in ballpoint, "Be real or go home," which is corny and true and I hope whoever wrote it writes more. At my sister's school, they put film on the windows that looks like clouds from the outside. The first time I saw it I thought it was sad. Then I thought, that's what defense looks like sometimes, soft, and firm, and chosen. She still sends me screenshots when a parent says something wild. I still tell her to forward them to the principal and not to feed the trolls. We go for ice cream and talk about nothing important on purpose. And sometimes, at night, I rewatch the tape from Juno's glasses where the badge is in the reflection and Riker says distribution like a punchline. It makes me feel better, not because he lost, but because we didn't. We measured our moves. We asked for help. We were boring in the ways that matter. I still stop speeders on the hill down to the pier. Some of them are kids who don't know that physics isn't a vibe. Some of them are men who think rules are for other people. Most of them sign and go. Every so often someone recognizes my name tag and looks at me in that split second between what they've seen and what they're seeing. I let them. I wait. I say, "Good afternoon. License, registration, insurance." And if they try to make a show, I remember what Tessa said, I don't have to be a villain for rent. I can be a person. I can be boring and alive and kind. The other day I pulled over a car with a ring light suction to the dash. The driver sighed like I'd interrupted his confessional. He lifted his phone and then paused. He lowered it. "Do you mind if I?" He gestured. "I do," I said. He put it away. I wrote the ticket. I explained the court date. He signed. He didn't call me a pig or a quota or a haircut. He just said my bad, and meant it. I don't think that was my victory. I think it was Juno's and Cruz's and Tessa's and Harris's and my mom's new lock and my dad's overkill deadbolt and the DA's boring memos and Ms. Klein's clipboard and the judge's eyebrows and a kid on a bike ringing his bell at a grown man in a uniform like laughter is allowed. On my way back to the cruiser, I looked at the ocean. It did what it does. I did what I do. The world kept recording. I let it. I didn't perform. I got in, turned the key, and went to the next call.